Hello, welcome to Career Influences, and this is Rita. Trust you are doing great. Today we are going to be looking at the self-assessment techniques. But before we go into it proper, we need to first of all understand the meaning of self-assessment. In social psychology, this is the process of looking at oneself in order to assess one's identity, the motive to derive self-evaluation, along with self-verification and self-enhancement. Now, this definition will go well with our own definition that has to do with the discussion that we have on ground proper. Self-assessment is seen as the evaluation of one's self or actions, attitudes, and performances. Now, this, if you are used to working, you know, if you're a worker or you've been in school before, you will know that this definition actually describes what we've been talking about for the past 1 or 2 weeks. This particular episode is going to give answers to the following questions. How does self-assessment work? When is self-assessment due? Who needs to do a self-assessment? Why is self-assessment important? Is self-assessment for employees? No, you see, these are the questions that have been thrown and people have been asking. So today I'm going to go proper into the explanation, and you will get your answers there. So for us to explain one of the techniques used in self-assessment, we are going to talk about the STARS technique. STARS is an acronym which spells STARS. We talk about situation, task, actions, results, and self-reflection. Situation has the question, what was the situation and when did it take place? Task talks about asks the question for describe the objective and what was required of you. Actions asks the question, what action did you take to achieve the task? Why? Results asks the question, what was the outcome because of your actions? And self-reflection asks the question, what did you learn? So for us to actually practicalize this technique, I'm going to give you an example. A typical example is the associations and clubs that students belong to in the university. Some of us were members of a club, some of us were members of an association, faculty association, departmental association, etc., etc. So we are going to use this particular example to explain the technique that I just mentioned above. Now, our school students association had organized to meet with an employer regarding sponsorship. Unfortunately, the chairperson meant to deliver the presentation was stranded because their car had broken down on the highway. Now, this is a situation. Now, let's look at the task. The chairperson called to let me know that it was now my responsibility to give the presentation and to find an alternative so that we don't end up looking bad before the employer that we are going to ask for sponsorship. Now, this is the action. I contacted the organization to inform them of the situation, but advised them that the treasurer and I will be able to meet with them. And I asked an association member to make and bind some copies while I read through the materials to ensure that I was fully prepared. I called the chairperson to brief me on the organization so that I could answer any of their questions. Now, the results. Although I was nervous, the presentation went well. I was able to walk through our proposal and answer all their questions. The employer thanked me for standing in at the last minute and agreed to give us the sponsorship. Now, the self-reflection. This experience has taught me both the importance of teamwork and preparation, because you can never know when you might be needed to step in for your team. Now, these are just extracted all the information that we need from this scenario, and we use the technique that I just mentioned, to extract this information. Apart from this information that we just talked about, there are other areas that are self-assessment. Also extract information to assess you in order to give you your performance rate, so that you can know what is expected of you, and you can strength lies and where your weaknesses also lie, so that you can work on developing them and honing your skills in those areas. The other areas that are examined in self-assessment are the skills review, the planning and organizing, learning, improving and achieving, communication, leadership, researching and analyzing, problem solving, decision making, supervising, teamwork, resilience, adaptability, drive, digital skills, transferable skills, and lots more. Now, let me give you an example. When it comes to skills review, because we are examining, you are trying to point out your strength, the areas where you have strength, and those where you have weaknesses. When we are looking at something like your skills review, we look at areas like what we are considering. We are considering your areas of achievement, the skills that you have, the project or tasks or goals that you've completed, what you specifically did, your role and activity, the experience that you gained, the impact of your work, what went well and what went not too well. Looking at what you would like to change, the congrats that you received on jobs or tasks completed, the awards that you got in the process. All these are considered when we are looking at your skills review. And you need to understand that for you to make progress in life, in every area of life, you have to examine yourself as time goes on. You have to be able to assess yourself in every and any area. So even if you're into vocation, you still have to assess yourself to be sure you are up to date with your trade, the knowledge in your trade and in what you do. So the same thing for students who are still in school and have just graduated. It will do you a whole world of good if you assess yourself on time, so that you can actually know the skills that you have. Because most jobs, when you're applying for most jobs, they state the kind of the skills that they are looking for is actually stated there, and if you don't have them, that might be a big trouble for you. And most times, most people assume certain skills, not even knowing that they don't have them. And if you notice, some employment forms require you to rate yourself or grade yourself according to the level of skills that you have. Some of them might even tell you they will put very good, not too good, Then some agree strongly, They just give you scenarios like that. Some of them will make they bring a certain point like beginner, novice, intermediate, advanced. All these are rating. All these are the rates used in assessing an individual's skills. So, for us to get all this information, it takes a long time. Let's say approximately 1 or 2 months, depending on the individual. So if you're interested in pursuing this program while you are waiting for that job, you can contact us on customizedmee.com. Thank you for listening, and do have a wonderful week ahead. Please meditate on the